Welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Kim, and I'm about to go on my gap year, so I have to make sure I have everything. Ukulele? You need this, right? Okay, and always. Okay, I think I'm packed. Now, our article is called, Should You Take a Gap Year? What do you guys think? Should you take a gap year? Do you know anyone that's taken one? Where did they go? Where would you go if you could take a gap year? And is it right for you? We're going to find out in our article. So let me finish packing and you can join me again.
For some, gap years are great. Students get out of their comfort zones and see new things. They learn new skills to help them become good speakers and leaders.
All right, our article is titled, Should You Take a Gap Year? And this is part 2. Now, in the first part, we learned exactly what a gap year was and that some people decide to take them. Now, gap years are mostly a European thing. I don't think too many Americans end up doing that. Americans usually go straight from high school to college. But in Europe, gap years are really common for kids to finish their studies and then get out for 1 year. And in that time, people may find out things about themselves that they didn't know. There are other advantages to gap years. As we read, for some, gap years are great. Students get out of their comfort zones and see new things. That's kind of the point of a gap year. Yeah, you want to get out of your comfort zone. And your comfort zone is what you are used to. If you stay in the same town and have the same friends and do the same things, and this makes you feel comfortable or safe or happy, then you are in your comfort zone. These are things that you're used to, that you don't mind doing every day. It's not something scary or something new or something that makes you feel nervous. This is just your comfort zone and you're happy there. And some people are very happy in their comfort zone. They don't want to leave because leaving can be scary. But for students who go on their gap year, this is a chance to see new things. And you always see people that tell you to leave your comfort zone. There's a lot of good reasons for that. If you leave your comfort zone, you can see new things and have new experiences. And you can get out in the world and maybe even learn more about yourself. And as we said, it can be kind of scary to leave your comfort zone sometimes, but it may be necessary for you to grow. As we read on, they learn new skills to help them become good speakers and leaders. Yeah, this is a really important part of leaving your comfort zone, is that you grow and you become a different person. And in this case, you can learn new skills. You can become more skillful. Skills are special things that you have to study how to do. So playing the guitar or any musical instrument is a skill. Learning to read and write well is a skill. Making things, maybe crafting things out of wood or making a statue, that is a skill. And when you can do a lot of these different things, you become skillful. You have lots of different skills at your disposal, and you can do things that other people can't do. So taking a gap year could teach you a lot of skills. It could teach you how to be independent, how to think for yourself, how to get out of some situations where maybe you're lost or you're in danger or you don't know what to do and you don't have anyone to rely on. You have to rely on yourself and you build those skills of independence. You also might become a better speaker. When you travel, you meet a lot of new people from different cultural backgrounds and you need to learn how to communicate with them. And this is something that speakers do well. If you're a speaker, you're doing what I'm doing right now. You stand up in front of a group of people and you give a speech. You speak about a topic that you know a lot about or something that you're passionate about. And you are a speaker when you're doing this. So when you travel by yourself during your gap year, you might become a better speaker. This communication is really important, and you can use that skill later on when you decide to go to college or when you decide to take a job after your gap year. And in that case, you might end up being a leader. A leader is somebody that leads. They are in charge. They are the top person in a group of people. So the president is a leader of a country. Your teacher is the leader of your classroom. You might even have a student leader who helps the teacher. And this is the top student, and everyone looks to them for direction. And so when you take a gap year, you might get the skills of a leader. You can think critically, you can question things, you can have more confidence to tell people what to do, to show people the way, because you've had to be independent, you've had to be a good speaker, you've had to have communication skills during your gap year. And that might turn you into a good leader at school, at the workplace, or in your group of friends. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll learn even more about gap years.
Also, they learn about themselves. Some even get a clear idea of their future. They want to make that happen, so they go back to school and work really hard. For others, gap years aren't great. They aren't very useful, and they can be very expensive. Should you take a gap year? Only you can decide that.
So far we've learned some advantages of having a gap year. You can learn new skills, you can become a better communicator, you can become a leader. And the most important one is that you will leave your comfort zone. And this allows you to grow as a person. And the next part of our article says, also, they learn about themselves. Yes, some even get a clear idea of their future. That's true. When you leave your comfort zone and you grow as a person, you learn more about yourself. Maybe you do things that you didn't even know you were capable of because you never tried to leave your comfort zone before. When you're out in the world and traveling and seeing things and meeting new people, you kind of tend to learn more about yourself along the way as well. And that doesn't mean you have to go abroad, but even just traveling in your own country to a different city can teach you something about yourself. Some even get a clear idea of their future. Yeah, people who like gap years and think that they are a good idea often say that kids get a clear idea of their future. You're in school for a very long time. Some people are in school for 12 or 14 years. And after getting out of high school, you may not know what to do with yourself. There are lots of people who want to tell you what to do. Your teachers, your parents, your friends, your other family members. They all want what's best for you. But they all can have different advice. They may give you different information, and they may make it a little difficult for you to choose what you want to do. And after being in school for so long, you might not be sure what is the next step you want to take. Should you go to college? Should you take a job? Should you take a gap year? What should you do? And this can be really difficult and confusing for a lot of students. So you can have a clearer idea of your future if you take a gap year. Clear. This is an adjective that means something is very obvious. So if you go on your gap year and you feel like now you have a clear idea, a very obvious idea of what you want, then you know for sure what you want to do and where you want to go. And this idea You understand it and you know it for sure. That makes it clear. And the other way we can talk about clear is like windows, something you can see through. So windows are clear. Sometimes if water is very clean in the ocean or in a lake, it is also clear. You can see all the way to the bottom. So you can get a clear idea of your future when you take a gap year. Maybe you learn something along the way, or you meet someone who inspires you, or you travel somewhere and you get new ideas from that place. And you have a better idea of what you want out of life. As we read on, they want to make that happen. So they go back to school and work really hard. This is people who now have a clear idea of what they want to do. They have inspiration. Maybe you decide you want to be a lawyer, or maybe you decide you want to be a teacher, and you want to make that happen. So after your gap year is over, when you do return to school, you feel like you want to work really hard towards that goal. That's something that came out during your gap year. For others, we read, gap years aren't great. They aren't very useful, and they can be very expensive. So there are some downsides. It's not all great when you talk about gap years. For some people, they aren't very useful. Maybe you didn't find out too much about yourself, or maybe you kind of wasted your time and didn't do the things you wanted to do. So it wasn't very useful for you. And also, when you're traveling, things can get expensive. So these are two reasons that it might not work out for you if you have a gap year. So sometimes they're not useful. Useful means you can use something. It has a purpose. It has a reason for being. If the gap year is useful for you, that means you got something out of it and you can use this experience. If it wasn't useful, that means it didn't help you. You can't use this experience for yourself in the future. So other things that can be useful, if you break your shoelace, a new shoelace could be useful. If you break the wheel on your bike, maybe a screwdriver can be useful to fix it. This thing has a purpose. And our second point, that gap years can be expensive. If something is expensive, it costs a lot of money. So traveling around for a whole year, usually without working, that can get expensive. How are you going to feed yourself? Where are you going to stay? How are you going to take entertainment, like movies or going out on trips? These things can be expensive. They can cost a lot of money. So should you take a gap year? Well, only you can decide that. So should you take a gap year after you finish school? It's really up to you. Maybe you want to, and you can see the world and find out about yourself, and you can get out of your comfort zone. Or maybe you just want to go straight into college or straight into the working world. Really, at the end of the day, only you can make that decision for yourself. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully you've had some time to think about whether you want to take a gap year or not and what gets you out of your comfort zone. And I'll see you next time.
For some, gap years are great. Students get out of their comfort zones and see new things. They learn new skills to help them become good speakers and leaders. Also, they learn about themselves. Some even get a clear idea of their future. They want to make that happen, so they go back to school and work really hard. For others, gap years aren't great. They aren't very useful, and they can be very expensive. Should you take a gap year? Only you can decide that.
Hi， 我是 Winnie。今天的第一个生字是 leader， 它是领袖、领导者，是名词。Who wants to be the leader of our team？ 谁想要当我们这队的队长？第二个字是 clear， 清楚的、明白的，也是形容词。 He gave me clear directions to his house. 他清楚地告訴我要如何到他家。第三個 useful 有益的、有用的形容詞。That app isn't very useful for us. 我們都覺得那個應用程式不是很好用。最後這個字是 expensive 昂貴的形容詞。Her necklace looks very expensive. 哇，她的項鏈看起來價值不菲。然後我們來看一下今天的文法。第一個是 get out of 遠離、擺脫。He got out of going to the meeting this morning. 他今天早上逃避去開會。下一個是 make something happen， 就是讓某事成真，讓某事實現。happen 呢是發生的意思。看個例句 ：I have a business idea and I want to make it happen。我有一個創業的想法，所以我要讓它付諸實現。最後一個用語是 only somebody can， 然後加動詞，只有某人可以做某事。注意哦 ，only 的位置要擺在最前面。看個例句 ：I can't decide for you, only you can do that。我沒辦法替你做任何決定，只有你自己可以哦。
Hi guys, I'm Daisy.
And I'm Brandon.
We're going to play Word Drop right now. We have 3 cards in our hands with your vocab words, and we're going to work them into casual conversation.
Don't read those.
I'm not reading them. My eyes are looking there. Okay, let's start.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Sometimes I just want to go get my nails done. I haven't done it in a while. Usually I'll get like a color. I'll usually pick something pink, and I do like sparkles. But then I find if I need to do something like professional that week, I have like a shoot or something, it benefits me for the nail technician just to apply a clear coat and do something that looks more natural. A clear coat.
Right. Well, that does sound like a lot of fun. I've actually gotten a pedicure before. My wife just dragged me along and said, "Get a pedicure, your toenails are disgusting." So I got a pedicure and I got my toenails done and all that. And it was not expensive.
Yeah. Sometimes when you have things, exciting things planned for your day, like getting a pedicure, or maybe a nice dinner to look forward to with friends. If you have nothing else going on that day, it's something to get out of bed for.
You know, I think that's true. And there's a lot of things that get me out of bed. You know, I'll say only my wife can get me out of bed when she wakes me up with a really loud alarm clock. Only she can get me out of bed.
So it's not your wife, it's your alarm clock. Anyway.
It's her alarm clock.
Anyway, I think the alarm clock is a very useful tool. You know, there's an alarm clock, which is a device that only has one function, to tell the time and to get you out of bed. Then we have the iPhone, which has multiple alarms, and the phone has multiple functions, and you're like, what are you? It's such a situationship. Are you my phone? Are you my alarm clock? Are you my calendar? Are you my gaming device? Are you my dating app? It benefits to have an alarm clock. I think it's more useful for that purpose.
I did not hear your word, but cool.
Useful.
Oh, that. Yeah, I totally agree. iPhones are super useful. I have tons of alarms on my iPhone. I usually have a lot of alarms that go off. I have like 6 alarms going off because I don't like to wake up. So I'll set one for like 3 minutes later and 5 minutes later and 7 minutes later. But I have to wake up because if I don't, I can't be the leader of my class.
Okay. Actually, I was saying the alarm clock is the useful thing, not the iPhone. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
That's all right. Wait, yeah, you have to wake up at some point.
See you next time.